Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a hashtag I've been seeing going around YouTube called FEDISBEST. One of my favorite YouTubers, Elise Sheree, she's a mom life vlogger and goes through her motherhood on YouTube. She did this tag a couple months ago and I was encouraged to do it after I saw her video, so I'm just going to go through a couple questions and take you guys along with me on my journey with my two sons. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lauren. I have two beautiful boys. One who is 2 years old, whose name is Nicholas, who I tried to breastfeed with and ended up completely formula feeding him. And my youngest, whose name is Adrian, and he is about to be 9 months and who is exclusively breastfed. So the first question on this hashtag is, tell us about your feeding journey. So my oldest son, who I just mentioned, he was born 11, 15, 16. I tried to breastfeed with him and was unable to. Side note, if you guys hear anything, Nicholas is actually on the floor next to me playing, so if you hear any noises, that's just him. So either ignore him or enjoy him, that's up to you. So with Nicholas, because he was in the NICU, I was unable to breastfeed with him because of the tubes that he was tied up to. So they were giving him formula, and whenever they would get enough breast milk for me, they would give it to him. When we got home from the hospital, I really struggled with latching. One of my breasts produced more milk than the other, and it was just extremely difficult and extremely painful. I had no friends at the time that were breastfeeding, so I didn't have any support that way, and I refused to take a class because I just thought it was going to be so incredibly easy. Well, it turns out it wasn't. After our first checkup with the pediatrician, Nicholas was still underweight and he was a 10-pound baby, so it was very concerning to them that he had not gotten back up to his birth weight. And the doctor that I had at the time suggested that we supplement. So when we got home that day, I did, because it was very stressful with me and my husband because we were just trying to do what was best for Nicholas, and so we decided to supplement, and I just couldn't keep up. I tried to pump and it just became so unbelievably stressful and emotionally draining for me to keep up with the pumping. It was extremely depressing for me. I really wanted to breastfeed Nicholas, and we ended up, after a month and a half, completely switching him to formula. And he's been great. I mean, he's 2 years old and everything's fine, and I don't regret moving him to formula. It was the best decision for us at the time. Moving on to Adrian, he is 9 months old right now, almost 9 months old, and he is exclusively breastfed, so that is a huge transition from having a formula fed baby who barely was on my nipple to going exclusively breastfeeding. With Adrian, he was born a heavier baby too. He was 8 pounds. I also have a birth vlog for that if you guys want more information on how that went. With Adrian, he latched on well, but I had bigger nipples, and so for him to be a newborn, it was harder for him to latch. We struggled for 2 weeks to get his birth weight back up to normal, but I really was I was really trying hard to exclusively breastfeed. It was like I said, this is very important to me, to breastfeed my babies. It was just something I've always really wanted to do, and I wanted that emotional connection with them. So I fought really hard. It was extremely stressful again on my marriage because me and my husband are both just fighting about what is best for them, and especially when he wasn't gaining weight fast enough. But I really committed and just did whatever it took, hours at the breast, to get Adrian to be exclusively breastfed. Moving on to question number 2, which is, before the baby was born, did you have any plans when it came to feeding? So just from hearing the first question, I'm sure you could tell that my plan was to exclusively breastfeed my children. It was very important to me and something that I still am very passionate about. So yeah, my plan was to exclusively breastfeed both of them. And as you can see, that wasn't what ended up happening, but I'm still happy with and still support mothers that... Let me stop and... We're baby. Yeah. let me stop and put this out there. I am pro FEDISBEST. This is why I'm doing this tag. I have experience with both sides, and I am happy that Nicholas is formula fed, and I am happy that Adrian is exclusively breastfed. They both work perfectly. Both my babies are healthy and thriving, and that's what is important. So I just want to put that out there, that even though I am extremely passionate about breastfeeding and that I'm so happy that I'm able to, formula is still okay. I'm still okay with the fact that Nicholas is formula fed. He is not any less or any better than Adrian for being breastfed. With that said, I'm gonna move on to question number 3, which is, did you ever feel pressured into making a certain decisions about feeding? To answer this bluntly, yes, I did. At the time that I was pregnant with Nicholas, I was working in a very health conscious, natural job. And so I was very passionate about breastfeeding because it was the natural choice that in my head would be better for the baby at the time. And so I became extremely passionate through that job. And just from the people that were talking around me, they made it sound bad to use formula. Also, I mentioned earlier that my pediatrician suggested that we supplement, and I really wish they wouldn't have. It wasn't the right decision for them to tell me that, and I feel like they pressured me into formula feeding Nicholas, when if I would have had proper advice, they would have suggested that I feed Nicholas more often and not supplement. So I mentioned earlier when I was talking about our journey that me and my husband fought about whether or not we should feed formula, and that made me feel pressured to switch to formula as well. So it is very hard when you don't have support, and it can be a very big strain on you when you're trying to make a decision that you feel like is really big. And since I wanted to exclusively breastfeed, I feel like it was really hard for me, and because I feel like I didn't have the support I needed to continue to do that. The next question, question number 4, is how do you feel about your feeding journey with Adrian? It was stressful but worth it. I'm really happy that I did it and stuck with it. For Nicholas, I regret not trying hard enough for him, but I am extremely happy that I made the decision for him to be formula fed. I feel like it took a lot of stress off of us and allowed my husband to have more quality time with him, because now, since Adrian is exclusively breastfed and really doesn't take well to bottles, my husband hasn't got to have that connection with him like he got to have with Nicholas. With Nicholas, I had a lot of insecurities about whether or not we were going to have the same connection that a mother that was breastfeeding would have. And the truth is that we do. He loves me just as much as Adrian does, and he is thriving just as much as any other child out there that has been breastfed. So with any mothers out there that are struggling whether or not to make the choice because they're scared they won't have the connection, it's going to be there. It's going to be just the same. Your baby's not going to love you any less or any more than a mother that is breastfeeding. Question number 5. What are your tips and advice when it comes to feeding? So I thought I'd give my tips for formula and for bottles for Nicholas that I use, because Adrian doesn't use bottles. We went through a couple of different brands of bottles. We first started off with a Munchkin brand, and it's the Latch brand, and I'll put a picture up here for you guys on what that looks like. And we moved to MAM, which is M-A-M bottles. After about 2 months, Nicholas started fighting the Latch ones and would not eat from them at all, and we tried different nipple sizes and everything, but he just wasn't having it. And my husband's mom had used the MAM brand for her children, so we decided to use those, and he loved them and used them all the way up until he was probably 1.5 years when we switched to sippy cups. Almost 2 that we switched to sippy cups. For formula, we stuck to the Similac brand. At times when we couldn't afford Similac, we did the Parents' Choice version of Similac, and both were amazing for Nicholas. He loved them both. Both were great. I mean, no side effects, nothing like that. I would suggest those to any family that was going to use formula. We also tried, what is the other brand? We also tried Enfamil, and that didn't work for Nicholas. Any Enfamil that we would try would make Nicholas constipated, and we couldn't use them for him. So we stuck to the Similac and Parents' Choice version of that. With Adrian, what helped me best with him for breastfeeding was just not giving up, really sticking to it and putting the hours in and not getting stressed out about how often he was at the breast and just letting it be natural. Another tip that I have is do not stress about pumping. I really stressed out both times with my feeding journeys with my kids. I stressed out about pumping. I could not handle it with Nicholas. I felt like I was never getting enough milk. My breasts just do not respond well to the pump. So I really stressed out and made myself sick over it. With Adrian, I started off again, sorry about the toys. With Adrian, I really stressed out about pumping, about trying to boost my supply and pump as often as I could, and that was driving me nuts. I really couldn't do it anymore. So after about I would say 4 months of trying to pump and boost my supply, I stopped altogether, and I just didn't try to give Adrian bottles. I just let him feed whenever he wants. Now, I'm also a stay-at-home mom, so this is easy for me to just quit pumping, but for those of you moms that are out there that have to pump because you're working, I mean, the power to you. I don't know how you do it. You are a stronger woman than I. But I would just say, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you have the opportunity to not pump, just don't stress out over it. It's okay. So I'm going to be moving on to the final question, which is question number 6, and it is, what are your feeding must-have? Alright, so I have all of my favorite breastfeeding and formula feeding favorites here with me. The first thing is this Brest friend. It is my favorite thing that I had in the beginning of my breastfeeding journey with Adrian. I wish I would have had it with Nicholas. It just supports their weight and is very comfortable. And just to put it out there, I weighed almost 200 pounds after I gave birth to Adrian, and this thing still fit around me. So don't be discouraged about the whole clasping thing. It has curves in it to help support the baby's body. You can even walk around with this thing on you. It is perfect. I would suggest this for anybody, and it will probably be my gift for any new mom out there at their baby shower. My next, I told you guys I would have pictures of the bottles that I used for Nicholas, but I went and got them out of the storage so that I could show you guys. And the first one that I said, the Munchkin latch ones, this is what I have for Nicholas. This was the first stage bottle. They make tiny ones like this and then big ones, and I would suggest these to any mom that's still breastfeeding or, you know, trying to breastfeed or supplementing. These are perfect because they still made Nicholas want to latch on. So these are the Munchkin latch. They have a filter at the bottom. I wouldn't say a filter, but it helps with air, and a nice round top for trying to pretend like it's a boobie. And honestly, I love these things so much. They're a lot easier to clean than you think. They're a lot easier to clean. Adrian. They're a lot easier to clean than you think. So like I said earlier, Nicholas moved on from the latch. After about 2 months, he didn't want to use them anymore, so he moved to ma'am. This is a ma'am bottle. This is the smaller size. This is the 4-ounce size. Actually, it has up to 5 ounces, probably 6 in it. But this is the smaller bottle. They have a big one that has 9 ounces in it, and they have this smaller one. The reason why I like these so much is because of the nipple that is on it. This is what makes it different than the other types of bottles that are out there. So my kids are on the floor right now, so you'll probably hear them in the background. I use the man bottle for both Nicholas and Adrian. For both Nicholas and Adrian, whenever I'm not with him or somebody's babysitting him, I'll give him the man bottles, and he took to those and didn't like any other bottle out there. I've tried at least 6 other brands to see if he would like them, and he chose the man one. So I really recommend that bottle, and they also make pacifiers, and Nicholas has loved those pacifiers as well. Moving back to breastfeeding, I have my 2 favorite nipple butters here, and the first one is this Boobease, and this is awesome. The texture on the inside is a lot like Vaseline, and I really loved it. It went on really smooth, and it really worked for me. Now the next one is this Earth Mama Angel Baby nipple butter. It is also all natural. The inside is a little different. It's like it has pieces of coconut oil in it. Now the only downside about the Earth Mama natural nipple butter is because it has like little pieces of coconut oil in it. So sometimes, especially if your nipples are very cracked, it can be a little bit uncomfortable. But other than that, both of those are my two favorite nipple butters, and I like them a lot. Now I cannot find my last must-have for formula-fed babies, which is a formula storage container. My husband likes to use those to hold his protein now, so it's probably in his car. But I'll have a picture for you guys somewhere over here about what that looks like. Those things are lifesavers, especially if you're going to be out of the house all day and you don't want to be carrying around a tub of formula. So each little storage container can hold enough for 8 ounces in each little container. Of course, you don't have to put 8 ounces in there, but it does. And then it has a cap that you can rotate, and you open it up and it just funnels out instead of like having to scoop it or anything like that. Honestly, those things were the best. For Nicholas, it was amazing, and I would also recommend those for anybody, especially if you're going to be out all the time, or if your kids go to a babysitter or anything like that where you don't want to lug around the big container of formula. I will leave a link with all my favorites down below so that you guys can see them and get them if you want them. So that's the end of the questions. I know that I've talked a lot about breastfeeding, but I'm just trying to give you both perspective. I have a formula-fed baby and a breastfed baby, and they are both beautiful and they are both thriving. It does not matter what you choose to do as long as your baby is healthy, and as long as your baby is healthy and happy, you have made the right decision. I beat myself up for so long for deciding to give Nicholas formula, and the truth is that it wasn't something that I should have stressed about at all. He's fine. Formula is fine. Do your research if you want to, pick the specialty brand if you want to, but no matter what you choose, your baby will be healthy and they will be fine. So for all those worried moms out there who are looking to see if they should... What, baby?
Mama.
What, baby?
Whoa.
Whoa.
Mama.
What, baby?
Mama.
Huh?
Baby.
Baby?
Baby.
You're hungry?
Baby.
Take out your bank and tell me what you want.
Baby.
Okay, give mommy a minute. I said give me a minute, silly. For all those moms out there who are worried about making the decision on whether or not they should formula feed or breastfeed, there is no decision. Do what feels right to you. Follow your intuition. No matter what you choose, your baby will be okay and they will be healthy. Well, that's all I got for this video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and I really hope this encourages you guys to do this tag as well. #FEDISBEST. If you like this video, then like. If you want to see more of the content that I have coming up, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you next time.